Episode insight. This particular episode, guys, I wish, okay, look, me as an artist, I really wish I knew what I know now. It's crazy how much information can change. You know what I mean? If I had this information back in the day, the legendary status would have gone even far beyond. But I digress. My guest on this particular episode is a gentleman by the name of Munya. And Munya represents a movement called Moti. And you know what? If you're an upcoming artist, songwriter, producer, or you just love music in any form, this is an episode you guys want to lock in on. A lot of gems were dropped. I'm low-key jealous because I never had this when I was coming up. But you know, the PodHouse, we got you. For the culture, we got you. Lock in on this episode and let me know what you guys think. What up, guys? You already know what it is. They call me Young. We at the PodHouse. And you know what? We actually back at the PodHouse. Because we've been, we've been on the move, you know what I mean? We've been running around, doing things a little bit different, bringing the PodHouse to you. So for now, we're bringing it back home. And you already know how we go and how it goes whenever we're doing this thing. I've got another amazing guest. So if you're into, how do I put this? Because I want to put you under pressure a little.
Okay.
I want to put you under pressure.
I'm ready for it. I'm here for it.
This is for everyone who's, hold on, to give me a second. It's been a while, guys. So usually we're playing outside. Now we're back inside. It's been a while. There we go.
Well, we're ready.
You good? You good? Because
I'm
now I don't want to make it seem like I'm the only one who's unfocused. No. So I want to take you down with me.
Good.
Is your mic position?
I'm feeling comfortable.
All right.
1 2 1 2.
Yes, 1 2 1 2. Mic check.
That.
Production, are we good? That side? Yeah, we're good.
Let's go.
Yeah. So if you got aspirations of venturing into entertainment in any way, right? So this is if you're an artist, if you're a producer, songwriter, whatever it may be. I feel like we don't have the type of conversations that put us in a position where we can be fully equipped with information so that we can make certain decisions, because we're sort of getting tired of hearing the same story and the narrative of, artists always complaining, this record label did this to me, this contract did that. So now we figured we're going to get someone who can put us in a position where we can have some information and be more knowledgeable the next time we're having conversations like that. I think that was a good introduction.
No, that
was a good introduction.
No, thank you. I'm ready. I'm ready now.
With that said, I've got an amazing guest today, and you know what? I'm gonna let him introduce himself. Yes, okay. Just give yourself some flair. Imagine if you're walking into WrestleMania.
Okay. Yeah. Now
you walk in dumpster.
All-time champion. That's the energy. But now, my name is Munya Chanetsa. I like to call myself your favorite Moti, your favorite master of the industry. As we talked about, there's an issue we saw, and I try to be the superhero within the industry, you know what I mean?
We need you to save us.
Save us, please. Because we're losing too much in the industry. And that's something I've experienced firsthand. I've seen too much. I've been very fortunate to wear different hats in different places in this industry to get a really broad understanding and just see the holes where people are just, bottom line, losing.
We give you guys free game. You guys free game.
You need to start subscribing.
Like, subscribe, and all that good
Everything
stuff. Now,
you pay out.
So Munya.
Yes.
For the first time,
okay.
Chat, you already know. I don't usually do this, but I've got like questions set out for you because this is a conversation that's close to my heart. You know what I mean? So I need to make sure. Yes. So for most artists, publishing seems like a scary topic.
Okay.
So how did you figure it out? And did you have to study school-wise and stuff for it like that?
Okay, fair. So, I don't think publishing is so much as scary as just misunderstood. And I think the biggest thing is it actually starts with the word publish, because, a lot of the time people hear publish and, the English language publishes to make available. So oftentimes when I talk to someone and say, yo, do you have a publisher? Automatically they think it's a distributor, because it's to make available. Whereas in the music space, publishing has nothing to do with distribution. Publishing has everything to do with songwriters and producers and protecting copyright. And I've actually tried to say, maybe one day I'll start some sort of advocacy thing to say, we need to change this name from publishing to copyright managers. Because just to kind of help avoid this confusion. That's why I say it's not so much scary, but it's just misunderstood. A lot of guys think they have publishers when they don't. So that's the first thing. So, and how did I get into publishing? You know, I'd be lying if I told you that I was intentional. I think, much like with many things in life, you kind of just go with the flow of life. I mean, in my as I said earlier in my introduction, that I've been so fortunate to wear different hats in this space. My first hat that I wore, I was working for a New York-based record label called Putumayo World Music. I was doing marketing there.
You see how Munya just threw that in, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's you know, when I was in New York, you know, I just shout out to you first of all.
Oh no, yes, that was all blessings, yo. That's God, yo.
Wait, how did you find yourself in?
Oh no, it was in New York based, but it was in Cape Town.
Oh, okay.
So they were operating from Cape Town. So I was part of the African office that was in Cape Town at the time.
Okay.
And again, I mean, none of this was intentional. The only thing I can tell you is that I can tell you that I knew I had a passion for music. Like, as in, I loved music. Music was one of those things where, as a youngster, having all the school plays, I'd be there. When I was a bit older, events and stuff. There used to be an event called Haifa, the Harare International Festival of Arts, that used to happen annually in Harare in Zim. And I'd volunteer. I was that kid, you know, I'd school break, I'd be volunteering. I used to start off just moving chairs and fixing up stages until I got up to even the stage.
This thing has been there for a while.
I guess I didn't know, but I just followed it. And that's what's just led me to where I am. That's why I said I can't lie to you and say it was intentional. So from Putumayo, there was an opportunity to move to Joburg and work for a digital distribution company called Content Connect Africa. And I was there for, I would say for majority of my career, I was there for almost like a good 10 years. And in that job is where I learned a lot about distribution and licensing. And I was so fortunate also to travel the continent. You know, that job I was entrusted to, after some time, to actually open up offices in Uganda, in Angola, in Ghana, in Nigeria, setting up teams.
Wow.
And I was also blessed because also this industry, as we all know, there's a lot of people, they promise you the world and deliver nothing. It's problematic.
The smoothest tongues.
The smoothest, and just sigh away. But, you know, I've been very fortunate that everyone I met on this journey, most of the people I've met, I'll say vast majority have just been good people, genuine industry people where we've all grown together in this industry. And so it's been crazy. And then, so from there, you know, the job that I had at that time had all to do with the song and the master. You know, we talk about masters. So I was just distributing and licensing and the like. However, after some time, you know, I got a call from the the Composers, Authors and Publishers Association of South Africa. And they were looking for someone to head up the licensing department. And I just said, you know what, hey, I feel I hit a bit of a ceiling.
That sounds like a heavy role.
It was baptism by fire. I swear the whole world of copyright and publishing just became, because at that time already, I mean, I'd been in the game for maybe 10 years already. So I thought I understood the industry. And I was so surprised that after 10 years, I had literally no idea about copyright in music, publishing, how this all works, how the money's flowing, etc., etc. So it was baptism by fire.
You learned on the job.
I learned on the job. This is where I started going to school, actually.
Oh.
So this is to answer that question. Yeah, I had to. I had to literally. And fortunately also at work, they also covered the cost for me to go learn.
Okay.
I actually...
win-win situation.
Huh?
It's a win-win situation.
Absolutely. Yeah, they understood. Invest in your people, yo. It's important. So the first school I attended, I went to the Academy of Sound Engineering. They were doing at the time, I believe they probably are still doing it. They were doing a masterclass in music business. So I did that course and it's super enlightening. And then online, there's this platform or this entity called the WIPO, which stands for the World Intellectual Property Organization. And through that, I just had to do all these different courses, which told you about the different laws and stuff and reasons why. And they really delve into the importance as to just copyright and how this all comes about and the money flows and who are the different players. And that really, that course is actually what really gave me a real in-depth understanding of publishing.
Was it
and copyright.
difficult?
No, it was. No, trust me. No, it was. That was the the booklets and stuff you're reading and the chapters. It was going back to school. And I'm the kind of person, I'll be honest with you, when I finished university, I remember even telling my parents, I've done what you wanted. I'm never going to school again. But I guess, you know, as you grow older, I guess when you start finding things that you're passionate about, it's an easy decision to go back and learn more. So that's how I ended up learning and understanding more. And then I guess because I'm also learning on the job as well. I'm literally doing the work. So, I mean, that's how I understood publishing in the world. And then I was fortunate after Capasso to get a job at Sony Music Publishing because
oh, nice.
The thing with Capasso, I love that place. I mean, people need to understand more. They do. And it was just for me, it was very, let me say, boardroom, and you're fighting a lot because that's all about trying to get money for your songwriters and producers. And it's a lot of arguing and fighting with different people that are using music. So, you know, at that point, I was almost living like a double life where I was at day job, I was in the boardroom and I was still trying to have a life outside, but it was
near impossible.
It was tough. I had to tap out. And then when Sony came knocking, saying they're looking for someone to be the A&R manager for the continent to help actually find songwriters and producers, I jumped on that. And that's now where I actually got practical experience of actually being in a publishing company. And I mean, and once again, blessings and blessings. Empire came knocking, and now I'm the managing director of Empire Publishing, heading it up.
You know, these titles that Munya is throwing around, but you know. In terms of like the, you know, corporate ladder, you rose to the ranks real quick.
Listen, it was never intentional. I can't even tell you that I wanted to be the head of a...
You just found yourself.
It's just going with the flow, having patience, prayer, and just working hard. That's it. Doing right. As in, one of the things I always learned, one of the things I believe in is working with integrity. And I think also because of my reputation, doing my best to do right by people, by creators, and educating along the way as well. I guess it's the way the industry, music just this is how music gave me back its own love, if you know what I mean. That's how I see it.
It's a perfect segue into my next question. So since you were young, like this fire has always been in you, to lean towards music. At any point, was there like an artist? Or, you know, did you ever think, you know, I want to be a singer, I want to be a rapper? I feel like for most of us when we're younger, like that's one of the, like, you know,
dream.
I want to be on stage.
On the mic.
So for you, was it always like that, or did you always see yourself as someone who's behind the scenes and making things work?
I personally believe that most, with exception to maybe finance people in the music business side, most people in the music business they're almost like failed musicians at some point where they try and they tried and I did try. I remember at one point I was like, can we just try the singing thing? And I did vocal lessons and when I was in Cape Town. I did lessons. I think there's an online video somewhere where I was now singing.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be an artist. Yeah.
So I think maybe that's where the fire came from. Like, your love for music that's led you to that.
Absolutely. And as I said, no jokes. When I was at school, as growing up, like the choir, all these, I Stedford, I'd be at those things singing, and, you know, the school choir and school plays, the Christmas plays, I'd be singing and all the, so I always thought that,
it's always been the road.
It's always been the road, yeah.
Okay, so now with your intro, when we were starting WrestleMania, with your intro, Moti,
yes.
And the way you just broke it down.
Yeah.
Tell us more about that. Moti, what is Moti?
Moti, yeah. So, you know, as I shared earlier that after being in the industry for almost 10 years, I really believed I understood the industry until I joined Capasso. So when I joined Capasso and I started doing all the learning and stuff, I remember one day just sitting and thinking, if I've been in the industry for this long, and I thought I knew everything, and I don't know, then what chance does a young Tawanda, a young Jalbu, who wants to try enter the space, what chance do they even have? I mean, that's when I also, at the time, I was like, you know, it just leaves it so open for people to be taken advantage of just due to lack of information.
Exactly.
And that is that. I remember thinking like, there's no space where there's nowhere online even where, and also I guess what also stemmed from is because I used to do a lot of education, just talks. But I think the challenge and the issue that I started seeing was that I would do a talk and I would see all the people, I'd see people, oh, light bulbs. You can see people are getting it. It's like, oh, that's it. That makes sense. But unfortunately, I would leave with the information. And then I'm gone. So that's why I was just like, you know what? Let me also create an online platform where even though I'll do my talk, if you ever want to go back, if you want to listen, rewatch, rewind, read, listen again, there's something way that you can also go to. And that's where Moti was kind of birthed from. So it actually started in 2019 probably. I joined PodHouse at 2018. So 2019, I guess when the seed was planted. And now I guess I was trying to figure out how to do it. And I guess the goal was to also create a golden thread that kind of can show you the journey. Like, this is the steps I should take. These are the things I need to do in order to make sure I can at least be a professional in this industry and be taken seriously from the get-go. So yeah, that's how Moti was birthed, and stands for Masters of the Industry, because in my mind, I wanted to groom masters of this music business.
That's a fire name, but
Moti, come on, man, come on, boy. That's what it is. So it was about grooming and trying to educate. And, you know, at some point also, I remember I used to always think, oh, the creators, why did they sign these deals? These creators, why? But then, you know, I guess I grew more compassion and I started learning and saying, you know what we need to start encouraging is a new layer, because I think creativity in Africa, we've got it.
yeah, definitely.
On lock.
Naturally,
Globally, as even now we're recognized globally.
Yeah.
People can see it. What we need to start investing in is grooming business-minded people to grow alongside the creatives, to almost protect the creative, you know, to work with them, because it ends up being too much for a creative. Your job is to create. You're in studio, recording, you're writing.
road manager.
You're the road, but now you have to then sit in boardrooms to understand contracts and read contracts, make sure you're not getting played, understanding, you know, it's too much. So that's why I was just like, we have to start investing in trying to create. And I just said, we need Motis in this industry, because that's why I say I want to be your favorite Moti, but I don't want to be the only Moti. I'm trying to groom other people to be Motis and carry that and be proud Motis. So yeah, I mean, we started shooting content. So from 2018 till 2022, because I mean, also it costs budget and money, and it's all out of my own pocket, you know. So saving up money, scripting. So initially shooting content, and I shot videos in a certain way. It was just me and the camera, and I mean, it was well received. However, people gave feedback, you know, Munya, we need more masterclasses. So then I said, okay. And then I started doing more interview-based ones where I was interviewing other executives, because fortunately, my position, I had access to people and people would be more open. So, I mean, on the Moti website, motiafrica.com, there's interviews with different CEOs and managing directors at the connection management organizations. And I mean, I did that content, then the industry then kind of came back. They loved it, they showed love, but however, they're like, no, Munya, can you actually take us on the journey? So it was actually last year where I created this series called Moti Verified, where I partnered with the African Leadership Academy there in Honeydew, and I took 9 students on the journey from scratch. These are 9 students who obviously had passion for music. One of them was actually an artist. And the plan was to take them on that journey and to make sure they do all the checkpoints. So from the studio, and also it was really an honor that Non-Label allowed us to record at her studio. She took part in the first episode.
Nice.
You know, that was a blessing. And so in that episode 1 is talking about the importance of split sheets. And I mean, she also discussed and she shares her experiences. The next episode is the connection management organizations and getting them registered. The following episode, we're talking about legal. I got a professional, this lady by the name of Palesa Dwaba. She owns Dwaba Attorneys. She's an entertainment lawyer, and she came through explaining the different kinds of contracts and the importance. And then the last episode I did was touching on branding, you know, to understand the importance of building a brand. So yeah, that's where I've kind of stopped with Moti in terms of content creation. On the website, we've also created digital split sheets, because I remember thinking, the problem with split sheets, because now I was in the space, I was like, the reason why I think split sheets aren't being done is because there's you're in the space, you're making music, now you're being told to sign and talk splits. So I was like, let me create a digital one that you can access and do it on your phone, so that it's not necessarily something where you're not it's not prehistoric. Let me just say that, where you
can access it from the website.
On my website, you can access it for free. There's a digital split sheet. You can just go on there. Once you register, you get access to it, and it almost builds your own it's your own storage of it stores your split sheets. And wow, not only that, the technology behind it sends emails to everyone else who contributed to making the song. Everyone else is meant to sign, so you can also do digital signatures on it. So it's a solid product, So the split sheet is there. I also did this thing called the Moti Music Business Plan, because the plan is to shift people's mind from just being, hey, it's fun, to this is business. And just the same way, if you wanted to sell water, and there's a mountain, you need to understand where's the best location, what's my competition like. There's a whole business plan template I've created. Yeah, and just download all this for free, because initially I thought, let me make people pay for this, but I said, no, we need help. I said, let me just put it out for free. And that's where Moti is right now.
Sheesh. So with all this vast information that you privy to, you blessed to have all this information, what would you say is the most typical trouble that artists get themselves into? Okay.
So it's a couple of things I would say. Firstly, I'd say for songwriters and producers, the biggest thing for them is split sheets, not doing split sheets. That's the biggest issue for them, where, because when you do a split sheet, it basically shows how you guys are splitting up the publishing. And then that split sheet is then taken to the CMOs, and the CMOs who are collecting royalties on your behalf, basically, they would then, or they don't do, the publisher does it on your behalf, but the publisher would then use the split sheet and make sure your percentage is being collected and given back to you as a songwriter and producer. A lot of songwriters and producers aren't aware that there's royalties that are due to you for the music that's being consumed, the music that you've contributed to making. And actually, a lot of people I've seen people make a lot of money on this side of the fence when it comes to the songwriter and producer and the publishing space, but it's often just neglected. People think it's transactional. I just get 10,000 Rand, I walk away, but no, you're meant to be getting royalties. And when that song becomes a hit, I'll go back to Jerusalem with Non-Tebo. That song changed their lives.
Yeah, definitely.
100%. And I think the one thing is absolutely phenomenal. Yeah. The split sheet is the reason why it changed her life. The fact that she did do a split sheet and she knew exactly what percent, it was signed off on the percentage of publishing she owned on that song. So that changed her life. So split sheets, I would say, is number one for me. Another thing is definitely just, guys get excited in this industry where we sign bad deals. A lot of artists sign bad deals. And that's the second thing, is that, and unfortunately, and for me, it's often the saddest thing, is that, people, Munya, this thing, this is not working, please help me in this. And unfortunately, I always have to go back, did you sign a contract? Yes, you signed. And guys, contracts mean things. A signature means something, and it's binding. You can't now, I didn't understand what that clause meant. The fact that you signed means that you understood. That's how it's seen. So unless you need to try and, basically the second thing is signing bad deals, or just signing deals blindly, because maybe just a major label is approaching you, you're excited that a major, and now you just signed the deal, you don't even understand what you've signed, and next thing, 2 years later, the major maybe is not releasing your music and you're upset now, or you're not seeing the money. You actually took it. The third thing that thank you for reminding me is advances also. Sometimes guys rush to take advances, and they treat an advance as if it's a loan to just to buy a car, to do, advances. Ultimately, an advance is meant to be used for you to better yourself within your career. Whether it means investing in better studio equipment, getting access to better, whatever it is, to be traveling so that you can be in different spaces and room. But a lot of people take advances, chow them, now the money's gone, And then now they're upset because they're saying, no, we're not seeing royalties, but you didn't read the agreement that the company said you'll only see royalties once we recoup.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
The recouping part.
It's real because it's money, it's business. These guys, people think that you can just hop on. It's a contract, it's money, it's business. And the labels in this side of the business, it's about business. And you have to make sure you're doing the right business on your side for yourself. So I'll say those would be the three main things: split sheets, just recklessly taking advances, and just signing a contract, any contract that is thrown in your direction because you want to be on a label.
Would you advise people to always have a team? Because like from what you're saying, it sounds like not everything can be done by one person.
Correct.
So if you're the creative, so do you think, or would you advise for them to start a team early? Or is this something that you can develop as time goes? Because from everything that you're saying, it's like, you know, you need people with different skill sets to handle all those things.
Different things.
Because me as an artist, like that just sounds like a headache.
It's
everything that you've described.
It's too much. And I would say that my answer is yes. Do your best to try and that's why I said sometimes, you know, we want to try and get the best artist manager when I'm just starting off in the game, for example. But I haven't done anything yet. Why would someone who's the best manager who's managing A-list artists now want to work with me? That's why I often say that, and that's why I go back to Moti, that you need to try and find a friend or someone who is interested in understanding the music business so that you grow together. That's the key thing, just like anything. And I mean, there's some great examples. I mean, when you see, I don't know, but you wouldn't know. But basically, I'd always say that
Munya is disrespecting me. I wouldn't know.
No.
You don't know, Munya. You don't know.
now I'm dropping name, man.
Challenge me.
Challenge me, I show you.
You don't see. Okay, let me just give. I mean, but this is okay. No, this is not manager side. But if you look at like the relationship that let's say someone like Drake and 40 have, like that's his day one producer.
Yes,
it's never changed. I mean, he collaborates with other guys.
But like that's
but you can see that these guys have grown together.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And I think that's the kind of, you need to find someone who you can entrust and grow together with. That's ideally. But the reality also is, as the person on the business side, you need to up your game also, empower yourself. You need to learn and understand. You need to network, be in the right spaces, engage with the executives or workshops and stuff like that. You need to be in the spaces where you can also grow. Otherwise, your artist will outgrow you. And then, unfortunately, it's been a great time. You'll be my guy, nothing personal, but I can see that it's limited.
To go to the next level.
So you have to. So that's why I'm like, you've got to just, ideally, yes, start off with a team, or not even a team, even if it's just one person, just to help, just to do the basic things. The one person who'd now taken the Moti courses and done all the Moti stuff, do you push that person to do those things, to understand what you need to do as a creator and grow together? Ideally, that's what I would say would be the like Rolls Royce kind of option. If you just grow with someone who's always constantly learning and you're creating and getting better, for me, it's a winning formula.
So now, okay, on more of a personal angle.
Okay.
You, when obviously, you know, there's artists we look up to coming out.
Absolutely.
And everything that you're talking about, you find yourself in spaces where you've got access to superstars.
Right.
Have you ever had an opportunity where you were in a space and you're like, do you know who that
this guy? No, definitely. Absolutely. So I'll say the two guys that for me, which, but things doesn't have to play it cool. Yeah, of course. You put me asking for a picture, I'm like, I don't really want it, but if you want it, if you want to, okay. You know, so I'll say for sure, number one for me is Oliver Mtukudzi. That was a crazy one for me, because I mean, I literally find it's actually, in terms of the story, because growing up in Zim, one of my best friends, his parents owned this production company, and you know, they used to do film production. So it was like Neria, Yellow Card,
Neria,
and you know,
come on,
you know what it is. They also, which other, they even did Oliver kind of documentary at some point, but because they were close to Oliver from Neria days, from the song and the soundtrack. When they were doing the documentary, I was really just as a kid, I was blessed to be, they'll be inviting me just to be like, yo, come, we're going to Oliver's show because we were shooting. Do you want to come through? So I was just this kid, just always around Oliver, but obviously I'm like, I can't do anything. And there's no selfies those days.
Munya, what was the aura like for the legend?
Oh, that was,
when he steps in the room, he was very...
This, yo. It's just greatness. He is legendary, honestly. But he was also, to be honest, the humblest, nicest person also. It's just like, it's just this combo of the two. For real. Now, Oliver really. And then years later, I think it was it would have been maybe in 2016, where there was now a project which I was assigned to, or let me be honest, that I jumped on when I saw that Oliver Mtukudzi was going to be on this thing. And I mean, and I remember about all the photos and videos, and now we're in studio together, and I was helping setting stuff up for him, and it was just such an honor to be be with a legend like that, man.
Now PodHouse, I'd embarrass you. The day I meet the people, I'm going to lose all professionalism. I'm letting you know now in advance, and it's documented. I will embarrass you.
No one must
people.
disown you. You've told that. You've said it. And that was the second person for me. This has been on my journey whilst being at Empire. I mean, if anyone knows me, one of my favorite artists has been Fireboy DML.
Wow.
And man, again,
You in the
that was crazy for me, because not only being the same room, seeing him work, I've also like been blessed. I remember we were now from work, we were invited to he had his birthday in San Francisco, or was in LA. I got one of the two. We had his birthday then, we had his birthday celebration, we were all there around. And Fireboy is an artist. He's actually, for me, he's my number one guy, if anyone knows me. So that also was another, what a moment, what a time.
Well, at least it sounds like you behaved yourself. No, you did very good,
Yeah, Fireboy.
Yeah, what up, man?
Yeah, easy. You can't be bad boy, but for that one, because that's someone who I followed since the birth, well, not memories, I say the birth, but since his first album. I've been following that guy. And I've always said this, he's my fighter.
You enjoy your job.
Oh man, I love it, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of with publishing, because the publishing side, there's a lot of admin, but you know, I'm blessed to I love being in the creative space. I love being in studio. I love, I'm the kind of person, I'm not trying to contribute to say, no, maybe put C minor, see whatever. Nah, I'm quiet. And I'll just be there and absorbing, and being in these spaces is just crazy. Crutching, and that's how I even feel that artists and musicians are the real magicians in life, because from nothing you just create.
You can create something that will last forever.
Come on. That's like, that is magic to me. So seeing that process of being in those spaces is just something I can't. It's priceless and invaluable. And and then also seeing people that you genuinely love, whether you've grown up as a kid or whether you're later on in their process and what they do, you have even more respect, because you're like, this is why you are where you are. You get, it's not by chance.
They validate
Absolutely.
They validate the dream.
Absolutely. It makes sense. So yeah, I'll say those would be my two guys that just, for me.
Okay, common misconception between publishing and distribution.
Yes.
Like people get confused with those two, because like in most cases they think like it's the same thing.
Yep.
Like in layman terms, if you were to differentiate between the two, like how would you, for someone who wants to learn?
So distribution is just that. Distribution is where your music is taken and literally it is distributed. It is made available in this day and age on different digital service providers, also known as DSPs, like an Apple, on Spotify, etc., etc. That is distribution. Publishing, and as I said earlier, that's the problem with publishing, is the name publishing. But publishing is technically copyright, is managing your copyright as for songwriters and producers. So publishers focus on songwriters and producers, record labels and distribution companies, they're the ones who do real distribution. So for publishers, the main functions of publishers is to do four things for songwriter and producer, is to make sure, number one, your works are protected. So no one just takes your beat, your melody, your lyrics without compensating your or without your permission. We make sure you get your royalties, as I shared as well. But in order to do that, we need your split sheets, but it's your splits, your royalties. The third thing is to look at placing your song in movies, in adverts, in TV shows, and now even in games and stuff. You see FIFA these days. People playing this. People fight for those things.
Yeah, we've actually made a couple of stars though.
Absolutely.
Just the music. Yeah,
absolutely. It really did.
Yeah.
So our job is to we fight for those spaces. Publishers, we try and get your music. If I represent you, my job is to try and get you in those spaces. And then the fourth role is to keep you busy as a publisher, as a songwriter, as a producer. So that is whether it's you writing for other artists, whether it is you producing for other artists, maybe it's also film scoring, when you're creating the sound for movies and that's the other roles, to find you more jobs. So that's the distinction between the two. So record labels / distribution companies, because now they're just distributors as well, you can find, but they focus on making your music available. They focus on the master. Publishers, we focus on your copyright as a songwriter, as a producer. So even though, for example, I'll just say, I work with, we signed at Empire Publishing, we've signed Fireboy's Publishing. So even though he's Fireboy, the artist, to me, I look at him as Fireboy, the songwriter, and the guy who creates the melodies. That's how you always need to separate the two. And that's how I need to focus on him like that, and look for opportunities for him to songwrite more, to produce more, to create melodies and to songwrite and the like. But I mean, if you are an artist, it ends up working in your favor, because sometimes, a songwriter can write, and sometimes you're told to do a guide vocal for the artist, and next thing the artist hears that guide vocal and says, "Who's this?" And it opens the door. It can open the door for you not to be collaborating with something, and that happens more often than not. You'd be surprised.
So you say it's a lucrative avenue for artists to get into.
That's why a lot of these, and I always used to look and see when I looked in the US, and I think how some of these producers, why is that Dr. Dre can just be a producer? Why can Neo just be a songwriter?
He surpasses even the artist himself.
And the checks, and this because I guess it's very lucrative, especially what we call the sync deals, which I mentioned earlier, was when we're placing your song in films, in computer games, in TV shows and adverts. That's a very lucrative area where you can make a lot of money as a songwriter, as a producer. And then with regards to your royalties, if your song is what we call active, and active is that has been on playlists, or if it's evergreen, so like a Jerusalem, which has now become an evergreen song, that song is going to be played back and it's still being played today. Like those kind of things, it's always generating royalties. So that, honestly, the royalties for songwriters and producers can also be seen as, that's why sometimes they say it's like your long-term investments type thing. If your music is active, it's a long-term investment where you can eat off royalties for years. And that's why you end up understanding that. That's why a lot of these brews overseas are eating, and just, you can see they're living their lives.
Years and years and years later.
They're eating, some of them are eating, I'm sure some of the checks, I'm sure the royalty checks that the likes of Dre and all these guys, these guys are getting, I'm sure in the M's of millions, I'm sure. And that will be quarterly or 6 months, however the deal is.
But the money will come eventually.
It will come. So, yeah.
So how does it work? Do you have to get a record deal and then look for a publishing deal as well? Or does it usually come as a package?
So publishing is really just designed for songwriters and producers. If you are an artist and you release, it's fine, because some people don't want to be artists. So I don't want a record deal. I don't want to distribute my music, but I'm a dope producer. So where can I go? So basically it's almost like, and I hope it doesn't cause confusion if you put it like this, that publishers are almost like record labels for songwriters and producers.
Yeah. And hence I asked, because does the record company have like an in-house publisher, or do you have to go and look for your own?
So some record companies do. I mean, most major record labels have in their own publishers. So I know, for example, I was at Sony Music Publishing, and there's Sony Music Entertainment, which is the record label side. So they kind of work hand in hand. And much like, and even at Empire, currently at Empire, there's there's a distribution side of Empire, and then there is the publishing side of Empire. And they basically are two separate companies that operate.
So it's possible to find one that can take care of everything.
I mean, yeah, if I just want to be a songwriter and producer, you can just come to a publisher directly and we can operate. Sometimes, I mean, on the record label side, maybe they sign someone on the record label, they might be like, yo, have you got publishing as well? Because if you're an artist and if you're making music or contributing to the creation of music, you have got publishing automatically. So if you haven't got someone representative representing your publishing, then most likely you can come across. But also, I mean, it's nothing in concrete saying that if I sign with this record label, I must also. You can shop it. You can shop. You just find the best deal that works for you. Find the best publishers giving you the best offerings that makes the most sense for you, and do it that way.
If you could give artists one piece of solid advice that you wish more could get, what would it be?
Go to motiafrica.com.
Come on.
That's it now. But I mean, that's a real thing though. But the main thing is, I'd say, is treat this like a business. You've got to treat it like a business. As much as you are the creative, treat it like a business. Make sure you've done the basic principles to make sure that your works are also protected, that you're monetizing your works correctly. I'll say those would be the main things, Just treat it like a business, like any business that you're going to venture into. Do a music business plan. Do a business plan for it. Understand where's your market, how do they consume, where do they consume? Is performances my strength? Strengthen your strengths, understand your weaknesses, strengthen your weaknesses, or also find someone to help you if treat it like an actual business. Don't neglect it. Don't just focus on the creative only, because as you said, when you first started, we've seen this story way too many times.
Too many times.
Even now in 2025.
Even with names you wouldn't even think. Why would you, of all people, be
crazy.
Having such problems?
I think when I joined Capasso, I remember when I was seeing a lot of what we call the disputes. And disputes has got to do with, say, maybe you and I have done a song together, and we were meant to split it 50-50, but maybe I didn't understand that there's this whole publishing. So you go to the collection societies, or you go to your publisher and say, I own this song 100%. And then only now you're chowing. Then only later maybe I clock that, wait a second, there's this thing publishing. Okay, actually that one song I was set to get 50%.
Yeah.
Now what would happen is the minute that the person who I wasn't aware, the minute they go to now the publisher or collection society and say, no, I'm meant to get 50%, it creates a dispute. And until that dispute is resolved, royalty doesn't flow.
Oh.
And you'd be surprised, I won't name who, but there's legendary artists from the 80s even, where there's songs that are in dispute till today in 2025, where royalties frozen because they were never able to resolve things like that. Now imagine.
So this is a big thing. If this has been happening since back then.
I'm telling you, legend songs that you know at weddings, it's whatever, songs that you know that you think certain royalties are not flowing at all because it's a dispute, because this person did this or this one incorrectly put the split, or they weren't able to agree on the splits. And who ends up losing though?
Yes, and the creatives. the creatives.
Simple as that. So it's like, that's why I treat it like a business. And I mean, I remember actually I tried to also do it at one point, as part of my Moti journey, I did do. I became very aware of the whole issue around the song Mbube with Solomon Linda. And, I learned about it in one of my classes. And I was just heartbroken to believe that one of the biggest copyright infringement cases when it comes to music is from South. And it happened with Solomon Linda with the song Bube, which then eventually made its way to America. And it came Lion Sleep Tonight, and then Lion Sleep Tonight made millions of dollars because of Lion King. And to believe that, because publishing is an asset that technically you can pass it on to your children. You can give your children your publishing. And actually, in fact, a lot of artists in this day and age actually do that, where within their publishing, they'll allocate maybe 5% to their kid and just to put it in their kid's name. So
seeing a lot of rappers in America.
You see those things, but that's why. It's almost like it's just making sure your kid, it's an asset.
Yeah.
And it was heartbreaking when I found that the Solomon Linda family hadn't earned, or at that time they hadn't earned anything, and it was a big issue.
Something as big as The Lion Sleeps Tonight.
Imagine. I'm telling you, there's actually a documentary on Netflix called The Lion Shared, you better watch. So I remember when I was touched by this, I said, let me do the right thing. And, I reached out to the Solomon Linda family estate, and what we agreed is we're going to look at, because also copyright has got a lifespan. And in South Africa, currently it's 50 years.
Now 50
You
years.
can own your copyright for 50 years, then after 50
So there's hope for an artist as long as it's posed in the scope of 50 years.
So it's 50 years after your passing, actually.
Oh,
So,
okay.
but you passed another 50 years, you could still continue. So Solomon Linda, I think, passed in 1968 or 67. I can't remember right now. But so because of that, his original composition of Mbube became what we call public domain. So then anyone can use it without necessarily having to get clearances. So because it was now in public domain, I was again blessed to work with these two super producers, Bocky Alt and Cuba. They created a beat for me. I worked with the legendary Mawatela Queens. They jumped on the song, and we recreated Mbube, basically. We created our own version of Mbube. And of the way of giving back for me was I gave the family 50% of the publishing of the new version. Yeah. Okay. The rest I allocated to most of the new people, the new art, Bocky and these people and the Nautella Queens. And, those are things I was just like, these are attempts, because I was just like, guys, we can't be seeing things that happened in 1978 happening in 2025, And that was my way of trying to just bring light to, guys, you don't understand the importance of copyright. That this should have been an asset that the family owned. And
It would have been passed down as an inheritance.
it should have been. But I know that from my understanding, a lot of NDAs were signed. And Lion Sleeps Tonight, not even Lion King. I think that song, last I understood, it had generated around $60 million.
That was performed by Elton John, yes?
It's been performed by too many people. It's the smash that everyone. Lion Sleeps Tonight is one of those household type tracks, evergreen. And Lion King actually even gave it that fire to make sure that song, the lion will never sleep tonight. That's the truth with this song. But it's like they need to understand. And I think, there was issues with the family and Disney. It got to Disney, and I think from what I understood, it was said that I think it ended up, but a lot of NDAs were signed, but the family walked away with like $250K. However, it's still a major loss.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So
After such a creation.
We can't repeat it. We can't let this keep happening, guys.
Save us, Moti.
We're trying. So yeah, that's it.
Hey, guys, because, you know what? When we're closing off, now I've got a lot of questions for this gentleman here, because, hey. If it carries on like this, I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop. Munya, thank you so much for coming through. I really appreciate you.
Thank you.
And please do not tire, because I feel like the road that you're on is very demanding, very, very demanding. So, and you're doing it from a place where you try to save a lot of artists, and we don't have a lot of representation when it comes to stuff like that. So please do not tire, man. Keep on with the good fight there.
I'll keep on going.
Good fight.
And then shout out Zed. I should be there in this month.
Hey,
June.
come on.
We should do the things this month, guys. I'll never stop trying to educate.
Let me side eye production. Let me side eye. Do you hear what other children are doing? I know I was there, but do you hear what the children are doing with their time? Yeah. Side eye productions. Side eye. No, you're gonna love it, man.
I look forward to it.
Different type of
I look forward to it. I do. So yeah, guys, let's keep treating it like a business, and I do this just for the betterment of the African music.
One more time, hit us with that website, man.
www.motiafrica.com. Come on. MOTI Africa.com.
When I hit y'all with split sheets, don't be surprised. Don't know exactly why I
Don't get mad, Joey. Don't get mad.
Hit it with a download. You know what I mean?
Come on.
So everyone who's on tracks, I'm gonna send you Pepperway. Send you Pepperway.
Expect.
Man, you guys already know what it is, man. Like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. You know how we do at the PodHouse. We make sure that we take care of you guys, give you the information that you need to follow whatever dreams and whatever paths that you're on. Because you know why? So love at the PodHouse, baby, with the culture. You feel me? With the culture.
Yes,
from myself and our WrestleMania winner for this year, Miss
Moti.
Come on. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.
Bless.